For anyone that doesn't get that, go check out the YouTube videos on ASCWeekly.com. God, I am just a plugging whore, and that's fine. Because we need your help, guys, to make the Ace Weekly bigger. Go check
Because
out.
without viewers, we're just two morons yelling at our computers about a video game.
Exactly. You guys validate us as people. So, yeah, definitely
No,
support
I
the.
would have no problem yelling at my computer about a video game alone by myself with no one listening. I'm fine with that.
I'm not. I'm totally
But
not fine with that.
some people are not insane, so
Exactly. And what does Zelda mean in German?
strange.
It means strange. So, support your friendly strange Protoss Master Coach guy. And watch the stream more.
Well, he bitches about everything.
You're like an old angry woman.
Without a vagina.
Without a vagina. A vaginaless old woman.
What? What? Brain hurt? Oh, still nothing's really happening here.
You
They're
said
just
it.
game.
Um, by game number 2 of the finals, we eventually kind of run out of bullshit to talk about, apparently.
You know, oh, well, there's a 3-gate. Defeat's doing a 3-gate. I'm thinking we're going to see a 3-gate expand since Defeat has favored expansion. Pylon going down is natural, so that pretty much confirms that we're going to see a 3-gate expand. Defeat has very much favored very econ-based expansion type play so far this tournament. However, it has definitely not yielded particularly ideal results for him. So I'm not sure. Well, I mean, you know, stick with what you practice. If that's what you always do, and that tends to work with you for you, then you should keep doing it. But really, he should probably figure out a way to defend it. He's got the Robo on the way out now, and that is going to help. 2-gate Robo coming out from xEONx, and that is pretty cool.
I love looking at this at Defeat's base because I don't know, it looks like SimCity actually. He's literally walled off his entire front here. I guess maybe is he afraid of zealot pressure or something? Like he wants to be able to defend a little bit easier. Or is
I do this in PvZ on close positions maps. Sim at my main. I don't do it in PvP. In PvP, I usually don't bother with building placement. I just make sure pylons are tucked away. That's pretty much all I'm worried about with building placement in PvP. Building placement in PvT and PvZ is pretty crucial and can help you get away with a lot more. But honestly, in Bronze, building placement doesn't mean anything. Because really, building placement is when you go, I have this strategy that's barely dying to this thing that's happening to me fairly often, and it's barely losing to it. Maybe if I place my buildings differently, I can get away with this without having to change the build. That's what building placement is for, but you have to be pretty set. Like, you have to have practiced the build and have it pretty smoothed out, done already before you get to that point. And no one in Bronze has a build at that point yet, so... Building placement in Bronze just doesn't make a difference. It's just like, wherever you feel like putting your shit, put your shit.
It's a very, very good point. It looks like we're seeing pretty much an exact repeat of game number 1. That pretty quick Nexus going down for Defeat. We don't have a 4th warp gate for Eon out yet, which he got after his Robo Bay last time, if I'm not mistaken.
He didn't get a Robo Bay last
He didn't even get a Robo. Okay, so slightly different play then. I thought he had a Robo. I could have sworn I saw Immortals.
No, well, Defeat had Immortals.
Oh, that might have been it. Okay.
Defeat went 3-gate Robo into expand, the same thing he's doing now. xEONx expanding instead of attacking. I guess he doesn't want to attack across the rush distance. Of course, my advice would have been to 4-gate again and move out a little bit earlier. On long positions, just don't go Robo. I actually don't agree with the Robo choice at all because of the positions. Much easier if you could just move out a little bit earlier. Get there at about the same time you got to his base last game, and then reinforce because you have forward pylons, and then the rush distance doesn't mean anything. Instead, he did go Robo, which means he does have to bring those Immortals all the way across with him, so he's deciding to respond with an expansion of his own. Unfortunately, it is slightly delayed.
Finally, Eon killing off that observer that was sitting, saw the exact expansion timing, and is feeling pretty comfortable, saying, "Okay, you're expanding. You're probably not gonna attack me right at this moment." Didn't see the his army moving out, so I'm pretty sure he's feeling pretty comfortable. I think both these players are gearing up for a macro heavy game. Again, this is the finals, so defeat definitely does not want to go down 2 games at this point, because that would be a pretty hard place to come back from, not only just literally but also mentally. Losing 2 games in a row, especially if they're
Honestly,
decisive, it can be pretty difficult.
I think defeat should have cheesed this game. Like, I mean, he goes fast expand game one, fast expand in the games before that, and and he's down 1 game, and it's a best of 5, which means you can lose 2 before you get knocked out. So, because you get knocked out at 3 losses, obviously. So if you cheese in game 2 after you've lost after doing a big, heavy macro style, you can really put your opponent psychologically on the back foot, and then that's when you can turn the momentum around and go forward, and then you can play macro games again, because you're gonna have them like looking all over for cheese. This is in the good opportunities where it's a good idea to cheese in the tournament setting, not like what Formica did, where he just cheesed like 6 times per game.
Yeah, and people don't realize that playing in a tournament is a totally different mindset. The mental game comes a lot more into play. Freaking out your opponent, making them think one thing when you're doing another, becomes a pretty pertinent. It's one more really big, heavy hitting tool in your arsenal, just like a unit is, or a strategy is. Freaking out your opponent in one way or another can win you games. It can literally win you
But
games.
it's a tool with a very, very specific utility, and overusing it can very easily lose you the game. So you do have to be a little, or lose you an entire match and just knock you out completely. So you do have to be careful. But using it at the proper time and in the proper quantity, which is very, very rarely, can get you like 1 cheese in a best of 5. 1 cheese can help you a lot.
Yep, absolutely. So it looked like Eon was gonna push out a little bit there, but decided not to. Controlling the watchtower here, so he knows no push is on the way. That being said, Defeat, I believe, does have an observer out here, knows exactly what's going on. Can pretty much just sit back and macro, probably expand at this point.
Defeat is behind by about 15 food.
And he's actually pushing out with that. Not the best decision.
He expanded sooner, teched faster, and is ahead by both in both aspect. Well, in the aspect of tech, but started cutting probes and ended up about 20 food, almost 20 food behind.
Although
simply because of lack of macro,
that
and now it's gonna now. He's gonna reap the ramifications.
a lot of that food differential is actually in probes. We have 52 probes for Eon compared to 38 probes for Defeat. So his army is comparable, but he's basically gonna. He can't win the game with this push. I don't think he can win this game with this push, and he is just so far behind on economy.
Here's the problem: is Defeat's only buffer is Stalker, so he has to have really good force fields. But he's going to engage on a choke, which means it's not going to be as good. The Zealots have to come in, and there are the force fields, but it looks like these Colossi... Oh, and it looks like Defeat's Colossi do not have... Do they? They do. Okay, they were just engaged in a really, really bad position. He needs to pull those Colossi back to deal with those Zealots and force field up. Instead, the Zealots are getting up in the faces of the Defeat Stalkers, and Defeat Stalkers being his only buffer versus the Colossi loses half of his Colossi numbers and most of his army, whereas... Eon retains both Colossi, taking no hull damage on them, keeps both of his Immortals, and only loses Zealots. That is huge. Zealots are quite a bit cheaper, and now Eon is going to be way ahead in Colossus count and has free reign to expand for a second time.
It does look like Defeat macroed a little bit better during that game, keeping his money nice and low, albeit his economy is a lot worse, and therefore it's a lot easier to keep your economy or your money low, spending it on units and such. But he did have a fairly substantial amount of units back home for a counterattack defense. I don't think Eon. I think Eon made the right decision, not trying to overextend and push out too far. Instead, he's going to do the right thing, which is sit back and defend and expand behind that. Knowing he has the lead, you might as well
Eon,
extend your lead when you're in the lead.
Eon needs to start being harassy.
Yeah.
He needs to start poking around with like I would if I were him, I would cut Colossus production or get a second Robo and start getting Warp Prisms. Maybe get some Dark Templar. Dark Templar would be really good in this position. Maybe put a pylon down there at the back door of Defeat's main. Something like that. He needs to start harassing because Defeat, even though he just lost that battle, a big battle, can also expand because Eon is being quite passive.
And Defeat knows exactly about this expansion, and he knows exactly that a Stargate is actually going down, and he's going to go up and kill it, but he's going to get trapped here, and we're going to have another engagement.
The Immortals are turning
nice
down the Colossi! Loses 2 of them immediately!
Oh, that was so painful. So many units from Eon. Defeat dying here needlessly. That was definitely a greedy push. He did get that kill on the Stargate, but at what cost? He lost the vast majority of his army. We now have a 163 to 86, 170 to 98 food differential now. So Eon looking like he's in a great position. That expansion did survive and get up.
Yes, it did. And now it's 3 base to 3 base. Frankly, I think Eon really needs to push his army advantage right now because he doesn't actually have that much of an economic advantage, except for that probe count, which is actually pretty huge. Wow, I did not notice that. Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
It's pretty
Defeat
huge.
hasn't been building workers at all. Defeat, buddy, you gotta build them probes. You're behind by almost 30 workers for no reason.
That results in right now. I don't know why the economies are about even. I don't know if there's Mater going on, but we have another fight. We have Eon pushing out against some nice force fields, kind of splitting things up a little bit, not doing too much, denying those few zealots. But we do have all these zealots in Defeat's face, just raffle stomping through that entire army. These Colossus doing a ton of damage from behind. Gonna kill off this pylon, gonna be able to push through these rocks into this third, and once this third falls, it's gonna be game, if not game already.
Yeah, without that army buffering that third, it is completely free pickings for xEONx, and he's going to take that out no problem. And of course, he has a fast retreat pattern, so even if somehow Defeat miraculously backers up a giant 120 or whatever food army instantaneously from no production facilities, then he can maybe hold on. But even at that point, he's down bases. There's absolutely nothing left for Defeat to do. It is now Eon's game to lose. Probably not, though, because he's so far ahead in every aspect.
Yeah, he pretty much has a maxed out Protoss ball, 3 bases up and churning away. He's going to pretty much move to victory now. Defeat, we're just going to wait for his GG here. It will be any second. He will realize it. Maybe he's just trying to push GG with his forehead, as I like to try and do after a crushing defeat like this. And there it is, Defeat. GG's out. Well played, man. I don't know if he realizes this is a best of 5, but just saying, well played. And a nice smiley there. Very good-mannered person. So we are going to be going into game number 3, which, if Eon takes it, will win him the tournament in a pretty decisive sweep here in the finals. So we'll see what happens there. Guys, if you're looking at this on ASCWeekly.com, which I hope you are, go to ASCWeekly.com. Right next to the video player, go ahead and click the Facebook like button. The more, how do I say this? The more support we get behind ASC Weekly and esports in general, the more we can do for you guys. At the end of the day, everything, including the coaching, the paid coaching, all of that stuff gets funneled right back into the tournament for stuff like cash prize pools for all leagues, for a nice cash prize pool for the Masters Division tournament, which is in the works right now, which is will hopefully attract some big names, guys that you know and love. And that are attracted by those higher profile tournaments. So we really need you guys to support the ASC Weekly. Of course, click the Twitter button as well. Go on the forums. on ASCWeekly.com. There, you can just it's right at the top of the page. Go click on forums, create an account. And which is important because as of we believe next week we're doing testing now. We want it to be perfect for you guys, but hopefully by